Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Wes, and we are back at it like a bad habit and doing some car part stuff, but a little different this time. We are doing a little build series because the FRS has been out for a bit for good reasons. We have a bunch of car parts, as you guys can see, and we need to install a lot of them. But I am not going to be doing it. A shop is going to do it because this car is going to be making some big power. So I just kind of want to do a breakdown of kind of what parts I'm using, what I'm doing to get to that goal, and going from there. If this video looks a little different, it's because I'm pretty sure my camera got stolen at a car meet last week, and I must have left my car unlocked or something. But fuck you, bro, whoever stole my shit, because I cannot find it anywhere else. But anyways, back to what we were doing. I'm going to give you guys a breakdown kind of what I'm doing and what all the parts I'm using. So if you really want to know, you actually watch the goddamn whole video, not just be clicking off. So let's go and start with what's already on the car. What's already on the car right now, we have a turbo kit. Technically, it's an ARP 400 kit, but it's pretty similar to your JDL, full blown. Your SBD looks somewhat similar to this. This is a pretty common kit. Regardless, I have a turbo kit. You'll need a turbo kit as well, obviously, for obvious reasons. I have the GTX 2876R Gen 1, I believe that's what it is. And it makes good power. We made 340 to the wheels right now, which is okay. Most people are happy with that, but I am not. So we are getting a bigger turbo, which we'll get into that in a second. But you need a turbo kit. We have a FlexFuel kit as well. And we do have ID 1000 injectors, which have been doing great. For the power that I need. And then in the back, I have a AEM 340 liter per hour fuel pump that is E85 specific. You can run on 91 as well, but I mentally got it to be for E85. But that's basically what I'm looking at. You have a map sensor. I have a FlexFuel ethanol rating gauge. I have AEM gauge, things of that sort. But regardless, I have injectors, turbo kit, and then I have a FlexFuel kit. And then I have a full 3-inch exhaust, right? This is pretty basic stuff, nothing too spiffy. That's pretty much it, what's on here. It is tuned by EcuTech. 99% of people will be tuned by EcuTech. If you really want to go standalone, then that's up to you, fam. But EcuTech's usually generally the easiest one to go with. So that is what's currently already on the car. So now we need to decide what we need to do to get to big power. Okay, so first thing, before we get into motor and which turbo I'm using, I want to go over supporting mods real quick. So obviously the big first one, you have a CSF Radiator. This is probably one of the better ones on the market. You don't have to go with this one specifically, but CSF is a great performance one. You have Coilrad and Mishimoto. I'm sure all those do fine, but I specifically wanted some of the best ones that a lot of the pros use, and that's what they use. So that's what I'm going with. It was a couple $100, really wasn't that expensive. I'm currently not going with fans. I want to see how the stock fan shroud does with this and see how my cooling does. But if I do upgrade it, I will let you guys know. So we're going to kind of start from the top here. This is a Radium Catch Can. It's not the dual one. It's just a single one that connects to the PCV valve. Hose thingy back on the whatever. But regardless, you probably need this in general. I haven't been running it because I know I've been doing this build and I was going to do it after I got the built motor. But you definitely need a catch can of some sort. Very high priority. Next one we have is injectors. So currently I have the ID 1000 injectors, which will not do the job for how much horsepower I want, especially since I'm running E85. They might do okay with 91 to make 500, but to use E85 because of the flow rate, you need bigger injectors. So I got 13s on here. I'm hoping those do enough. If not, I might have to go to 17s, which I really hope I don't have to. Next one, like I already said, I have the AEM fuel pump in there. That's the exact same one I have. Super easy install, by the way. Super awesome. This guy is my wastegate conversion kit. So for your guys' knowledge, you can only make as much boost as your wastegate allows you to. So currently I have an 8-pound spring in there. Well, I can only make a max of 16 pounds of boost. So to make 16 pounds of boost with 500 wheel horsepower isn't going to happen. So I need a lot more boost. So I have a certain wastegate that I use, and to get a bigger spring in there, I need a different top hat. And with that top hat, I'm able to run a 15-pound spring, which means I can run a maximum of 30 pounds of boost, which should definitely be able to get me to 500 wheel horsepower. So that's what that is. I'll go in more detail later about that. The second thing I have, this is like the fifth thing, dude. I have a Mishimoto, basically a racing thermostat. Allows the coolant to start flowing a lot sooner, which is exactly what I want. I don't want to have any cooling problems. We got a donation from one of the other 86 boys, which you guys will eventually see on the channel. He gave me the Coilrad pressure cap, so kudos to you. Other thing, some more drivetrain type of thing. I have the billet clutch fork pivot thingy, and then I have the forged clutch fork as well in here. This guy's pretty heavy too. Like, I doubt anything's gonna break that. But the main reason why I went with these two, because I know this is a common occurrence with bigger horsepower that our clutch forks will break, and I definitely wanted to make sure when the motor is getting pulled out, we're just replacing that anyways. I think that is about it for supporting mods right now. You're like, Wesley, you don't have an oil cooler. Yes, I know. I will be getting one. After the motor is done, I'll be getting an oil cooler. I'll probably go with the C-Rab, whatever, Set-Thrab, whatever you want to call it, oil cooler, or I'll go with a full-blown one. I'm not too sure which one I'll go with, but I will eventually be getting a oil cooler because that is definitely a necessity for these boys. Okay, so the next set of mods that I have is gonna be a full-blown oil pan that's all aluminum, and this thing is really nice. Number two, has a bigger oil capacity on it as well, so it's a lot deeper. You already have the little bung there that you can get welded on, and man, it already comes with a little baffle in there. Super nice. You can tell just by feeling it, like, this thing is really nice quality, and I have only heard really good things about that. Other oil pickup from Killer Bee. This is like the only FA thing Killer Bee makes, is this FA pickup, but it's a lot longer, a lot straighter. It is super nice, so I don't want to have any oil issues. I thought about getting an additional baffle for this guy, but honestly, I don't think I'm going to have that issue. It already comes with one halfway, and I think just another one might be a bit overkill, but I could be wrong. Next thing, big important thing, is going to be this turbo. So this turbo, which I probably won't be running this air filter, honestly. It just doesn't really fit in there. But this turbo is basically the big brother of this turbo. This is the GTX 3076R Gen 1. I'd like to get a Gen 2, but Gen 1 ball bearing. It already has a hot side to it. It's, I don't know what it is, it's like a T3 flange, and I can't use this personally because I have a V-band underneath there. So what I did is I got the same V-band that I currently have, but it's meant for the 3076R. This is going to be a 0.82 AR, basically a hot side, with both V-band exit and V-band from the headers. So I'm hoping a 0.82 should be streetable enough where I'm just not super turbo lag, but I'm hoping that I can get a lot of the power out of that. That turbo is rated for 640 horsepower. Obviously that's crank horsepower, so maybe take 40-50 horsepower out of there. So I should be able to make 5 pretty easily with that thing. So that's the goal. So that is kind of the chunks, the main supporting mods that I have going on right there. And I think that's pretty much it besides what's going on with the motor. I am currently not doing any drivetrain right now besides the clutch fork. I will eventually get the transmission built. I'm not swapping it. I'm probably going to do like a Jax transmission, full built trans, single drive shaft, probably get a new LSD in that diff, get a bigger diff cover, axles, and we should be good, but that's a lot further down the road. All right, let's talk about the short block. The short block is one of the most important parts of this whole build in general. The reason why you need to upgrade your block is because your little rod in there that holds your piston is going to do a little noodle move and bend, and then your motor is done. So to prevent that, you need to upgrade both of them. So basically what I did is I went with CARILLO rods and pistons. They're the most expensive option on the market. You don't have to do that route. The end goal for this car is actually to make 800, but the first goal is to make 500 first. So I'm just kind of overbuilding my short block for that purpose. If you do not want that big of a power goal, you have cheaper options out there. You can go with Manleys, you can go JEs. There's probably some other ones out there that don't need that high sophistication don't know what I'm saying, high-end rods, which will probably save you some money because rods and pistons alone were $2,000, which is, you know, a lot. So you need to upgrade rods and pistons. Rods, get some good rods, something that can hold good power. Pistons, I personally went the Carillo 10-to-1 ratio. If you want to run a lot of boost on 91, I would probably suggest dropping to a 9-to-1. For whatever brand you want to go with. JE makes good ones. Wiseco makes some. Maybe Manley does. But I went with Carillo because they're known in the industry as being some of the best ones you can get. So I went with that. I went 10-to-1, mainly because I'm be running strictly E85. So I have some breathing room when it comes to knock. I can run a lot more boost without hitting knock like 91 will. But also, I want to make sure I had high enough compression where I wasn't being so laggy. I didn't want a 9 or 8-to-1, something ridiculous. But that's what I personally went with, and I'm hoping that it suits well for the car. So rods and pistons out of the way. Next thing we need to figure out is our bearings. I went with King's bearings. They're main and crank bearings or rod bearings. I don't know, what are all the bearings that you need for your internal? I think it's main and rod or main and crank, something like that. King's bearings, there's no really reason why you shouldn't go with them. They're some of the best on the market. And bearings in general aren't that expensive. I think I spent maybe $250 on one set and then maybe like $160 on the other set. I don't remember. It was something like that. But in all understanding that when you're buying car parts, there's some things that you probably should buy the best of and some of the things you can probably cheap out on. King's bearings are relatively cheap when you're buying car parts at this point, especially if you're deciding to do this type of big build. Spend a couple bucks getting something really good. You don't have to worry about it because bearings are the lifeline of your motor. So rods and pistons were Carillo. We went to King's bearings, and then I got a brand new OEM crankshaft. That might be something changes way down the road if the OEM seems not to hold up after 800 horsepower, but right now it should do fine. I just got a brand new one and a new motor, and that's gonna already get cryogenically treated as well, which I'll touch on that in a minute. The short block itself, I did not keep open deck. I kept that closed deck. The cylinder walls already in there are a bit thicker than the EJs of past, but doesn't mean that you can just say, screw it, let's not do a closed deck. You probably should. If you're barely trying to maybe tip out at the high 400s, you probably don't need one, but I would always recommend if you want to go high horsepower, get a closed deck block, which that is what we are doing here on ours. We're going to custom closed deck block by SL Performance Boxer Engines here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Great dude. His name's Shane. And if you guys need a short block build, go hit your mans up. I'll leave a link in the description to go check them out. But we're doing a custom closed deck block. Carillo pistons and rods, new crankshaft, new bearings from King's, and that everything on that is getting cryogenically treated. Basically, it goes in a really deep freezer, really cold, and it helps the molecules flatten out and it gets stronger, something like that. Some weird, cool science stuff. If you know what WPC treatment is, it's kind of similar to that. It just makes your stuff all stronger and things of that sort. It's like a different version of that. But WPC treatment is also great as well if you want to go that route. If you don't know what it is, go look it up. There's some good videos on the internet about that. But that's a short block itself. I also have a fluid dampener going on the front. That's for harmonics. I'm going to be spinning this motor a lot higher, which we'll get here in a second as well. And I got a new flywheel for the back of it, so my engine builder can make sure that all of it is balanced and ready to go before the new motor goes in. Makes sense? If you guys have questions about that stuff specifically, drop comments down below. I'll try to help out. All right, well, let's talk about head stuff. So first off, I want to go over brands real quick. I went with Supertech everything except for the valve springs. I went with GSC. You can go with whatever brand you want. GSC makes good parts. Supertech makes great parts. I think there's another brand called Ferrera parts. They make valve springs and valves for this platform as well. All of them really good. I don't think there's really a bad one you can go with. I went with Supertech mainly because that's what a lot of the pros use. That's what my engine builder recommended as well. So I did my own research. Do your own research. But these guys are going to do really, really well. So I'm just going to go over each part, why I chose it, and we're going to go from there so you guys have a good understanding of kind of why I made this decision. First thing, valves. Intake. I stuck with a standard size. And I just went with their high performance valve. This should do great for what I need it to. I know you can get a bigger intake valve as well, but I don't see the necessary for it. It's already pretty big. I think these are 35s. Could be wrong, don't remember. It's been a while since I ordered these, like 3 months ago. Exhaust valve, important. You should probably get a bigger valve size. This is a +1. I wonder if it'll say it on the box. That's exactly what I got. It's a +1 millimeter, and for the exhaust. And then the intake should say somewhere on here as well. Maybe not, I'm just lying to you guys. But that's what I basically did. Standard size intake, 1 millimeter bigger on the exhaust side. And that should do great for my setup. These are Supertech Valve stems, right? Yeah, valve stems. And then these are valve guides from Supertech as well. This part wasn't expensive. This part was expensive, and same with this guy. I think there's like 5. This is like 5, and this is like, I don't know, 40 bucks. I went with the GSC beehive valve spring, mainly because I want to rev this out of this motor. That's the main goal, is to rev it out to make whatever horsepower I want to, because the end goal is to make 800, but to make 500 at the moment, I think should be plenty fine. But basically beehive allows you to run a lot more boost essentially, and the harmonics or something like down here is crazy for high RPM. But that's basically what I got. If you guys want to know exactly what it is, that is what it looks like. Beehive valve spring retainers kits, and yeah, so they're titanium retainers, by the way, so you don't have to worry about that. So that's kind of my head stuff. I have a lot of head work going on. I'm getting like a pour and polish. I'm getting 1/2 inch ARP head studs on there. There's some other stuff that's going on. I'll have it in the description for you guys to look at, like all my head work that's going on. And hopefully that makes it a little bit easier for you guys to understand. Other thing I am missing here that I did not go with was cams. I really wanted to go with cams, but it was hard finding information on them. There's not too much on it. But also finding something that was already in stock and didn't have already a long lead time. Because this is just right after COVID, essentially. I mean, COVID's still happening, but this is 2021, early in March. So getting stuff is kind of iffy. But I want to go with cams. You have a couple cam options. You have HKS, you have Piper cams, you have Toda Racing, and I think Full Blown has cams as well. There might be another one I'm missing. I really want to go with 272 cams. I figured that would be great for kind of a hybrid race/street style. I believe there's 252 cams in here right now, and I wanted to upgrade them, but for time's sake and money's sake mainly, I'm just going to stick with stock cams and see kind of how this setup works. I am pretty confident that this should work pretty good. So that's kind of the build so far. So that's the first part of this video series. I'll leave everything in the description below, exactly what parts I'm using, what is all happening. So it'd be a little bit easier for you guys to reference back. If you guys have any questions, kind of see what other options you have, or you just guys want to talk about stuff, or hey, maybe I'm missing something, or hey, was I wrong something, leave down in the comments below. I hope this will be a good starting point for a lot of people to actually, who want to make this 500 horsepower build, not just have one episode on YouTube and just never reply back to it ever again, because apparently that's a thing. And there's like a lot of dyno videos saying, 700 horsepower, 800 horsepower FRS, and there's like no information on it whatsoever. So I'm trying to give you guys kind of a comprehensive build list, build series of kind of how to get there. And I want to show you guys all the parts, essentially, kind of what I'm doing to get to that point, and we'll see kind of how it goes. This guy, today is Saturday. It's going to go in on Monday and start getting its guts pulled out and such. And we're going to go from there. I'll keep you guys updated with like maybe little episodes here and there and see how it goes. We're going to get tuned by Graham from Boosted Performance. He's the one who previously tuned this. It did really good. So I'm pretty confident in him. If you guys are looking for a great tuner, Zach from Counter Space Garage. Generally 9 out of 10 FT86 boys will probably tell you to go to him. He does great work as well. But other than that, that's all I got. If you guys have any questions, comments, if you guys like this video, if you guys like to subscribe for more content for a lot of cool stuff happening, let me know. I will see you guys in the next one. My name is Wes. I'm out. Deuces.